What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're learning Daf Mem Aleph of Masechet Berachos. It's kind of a cool page. We're going to talk about some interesting stuff like Iker and Tafel, right? When one thing is the main thing that you care about, and if that covers for the other things that you might be eating. We're going to talk about which brachas come first. When you have a choice of brachas to make, which brachas come first. We are going to talk about when you eat bread, right? So like on Shabbos, you wash and you have mekamotzi at the beginning of the meal. Does that mean that you don't have to make any more brachos for the rest of the meal? We're gonna have our first appearance of Pasaba B'Kisnin, which many people refer to that as referring to like cookies and cakes and things like that. While I think that might be correct according to like other Rishonim and stuff, according to Rashi, it seems to be something pretty specific, but also an interesting topic. So here we go. Okay, so we're starting on Daf Mem Aleph Amud Aleph, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines from the top, where it says Hayu Lefanav Minin Harbe V'chule. So this was referring back to our Mishnah on Mem Amud Beis, right? The Mishnah says that Hayu Lefanav Minin Harbe, if there were a bunch of different things in front of him. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Im Yesh Benein Min Shiva Alav U'Mevarich V'Chacham U'Mevarich Aleis Men Sheyirtza. So Rabbi Yehuda says that if there's one of the Shivat Aminim over there, right? One of the 7 fruits of Israel that have been coming up a few times over the past few days. So you make a bracha on that, whereas the Chacham say you make a bracha on whichever one you prefer. Okay, fine. So says the Gemara, Amar Ula, Zakt Ula, Machlokas b'Shabei Shavos. So this machlokas in the Mishnah about do you make a bracha on the Shiva Saminim or whichever one you want. So that is so this machlokas is when they're all the same bracha. So Rashi gives us an example, an olive and an apple, right? So they're both bracha of Bor Priya Eitz. So Rabbi Yehuda Savar min Shiva Adif, Rabbanan Savar min Chaviv Adif. So Rabbi Yehuda assumes that you should make a bracha on the olive because it's from the Shiva Taminim, whereas the Chacham say make a bracha on whichever one you prefer. If you prefer the apple, make a bracha on the apple. If you prefer the olive, make a bracha on the olive. Aval b'shebekosein shavos, aval b'she'ein bekosein shavos, divrei hakol mevarich hazeh v'chozem mevarich hazeh. However, when they're different brachas, so then there's nothing to worry about. There's no question. So for example, as Rashi says, if it's snon v'zayis, if it's a radish and an olive, so the radish being a bracha of Bor Priya Adama and the olive being the bracha of Bor Priya Eitz, so then there's really nothing to talk about. Meaning you're gonna make a bracha on whichever one you want first, whether it's the radish. So let's say you make a bracha on the radish first, Bor Priya Adama. So then you'll make a bracha on the olive afterwards, Bor Priya Eitz. Like it doesn't. There's really nothing to talk about. The machlokas is when you have tapuach v'zayis, an apple and an olive, where you only got one shot, right? You're going to make one bracha. It's a Bor Priya Eitz, and once you make that Bor Priya Eitz, you're not going to make a bracha on the other one because it's the same bracha. You're only going to make it once. So therefore, Rabbi Yehuda says the one bracha should be on the Shiva Saminim. The Chachamim say, whichever one you want, it doesn't matter. However, if you have tznon v'zayis, you have a radish and an olive, where you're going to have to make 2 brachas anyways, you're going to have to make a bracha on the radish and a bracha on the olive, right? Bor Priya Adama and Bor Priya Eitz. So, so everyone agrees you're going to be making 2 brachas over there. Meisvei. The Gemara asks the kasha though. How are the fun of tznon v'zayis? Mevarach al tznon ufoter es hazayis. Whoa. So we have a brisa that says that if he had a radish and an olive, so he makes a bracha on the radish, and he doesn't need to make a bracha on the olive anymore. I guess, right, the assumption being that, the radish is Bor Priya Adama, and as we said, right, on the previous Mishnah, that if he said, right, Berach al Peros Sa'ilim Bor Priya Adama, Yatza. So if you made a bracha of Bor Priya Adama on Bor Priya Eitz, so it works, right, because fruits from the tree come really from the ground as well. So therefore, if you made a bracha on the radish, it covers the olive as well. So you're not going to make 2 brachas there. You're only going to make 1 bracha. So the Gemara says, no, that's not a kasha. No. That brisa is talking about where the radish is, right, we're talking about Iker and Tafel, right? And Rashi, so Iker and Tafel is kind of it's hard to define really well, but let's try to keep it as simple as possible. And say, so Rashi says, She'atznon Iker she'bishvilo eschil ha'achila, that you began to eat, with the inspiration to eat, right, or the reason why you're eating is for this radish. And then you're only having the olive because the radish is sharp. So, because the radish is sharp, you can't just have the radish. You need to have the olive in order to sort of counterbalance the sharpness of the radish. But really what you're interested in, really why you're eating is because you want the radish. So because you want the radish, that's really all you're going to be making a bracha on. And the olive is tafel, so you just make a bracha on the ikr, and it covers the bracha on the tafel. Okay, very good. But if you wanted the radish and you wanted the olive, so you would make two separate brachas. But 1 second. Ihachi, ema seifa. 1 second. Don't tell me that we're talking about ikr and tafel over here, because let's keep on reading in this brisa. What does it say? Rabbi Yehuda omer mevarich al hazayis. Rabbi Yehuda says that no, don't make a bracha on the radish. Make a bracha on the olive. She'hazayis mimin shiva. Because the olive is one of the shiva saminim. So you should be making a bracha on the olive. Now, it's unclear if it means make a bracha on the olive and it'll cover the radish, although I don't see how that would make any sense, because the bracha of Bari Priya Eitz on the olive wouldn't cover the Bari Priya Adam on the radish. So maybe then it's saying maybe you should make a bracha on the olive first because it's the shiva saminim. Okay, beseder. But the fact of the matter is that if we're talking about ikr and tafel over here, that the radish is the ikr and the olive is the tafel, well, it's kind of funny that Rabbi Yehuda would be saying that you should make a bracha on the tafel, right, on the olive. V'chileisle Rabbi Yehuda haditnan koshu ikr v'imo tefela v'varich al ikr fotos atfela. Doesn't Rabbi Yehuda hold of the Mishnah that says that when you have ikr and tafel, you make a bracha on the ikr and it covers the tafel? So why is he making a bracha on the olive? The olive is tafel. And if you say, yeah, that's exactly 100% correct, Rabbi Yehuda does not hold of ikr and tafel, and therefore he doesn't care that the olive is only there to sort of counterbalance the sharpness of the radish. You still have to make a bracha on it. And he's saying, because it's shiva saminim, make a bracha on it. V'atanya, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, im mechamas tznon ba hazayis mevarich al tznon ufotos hazayis. Whoa! But we have a brisa, and in that brisa, Rabbi Yehuda himself says that if the olive is only coming to counterbalance the radish, you would make a bracha on the radish, and it would cover the olive. So clearly, Rabbi Yehuda does hold of ikr and tafel. So, what's going on in this brisa, where the Tanakama seems to be saying that you'd make a bracha on the radish and it would cover the olive, right? Because we said, at the Ula had said that everyone agrees that when it's multiple brachas, such as a radish and an olive, that you would make two brachas. Yet this brisa seems to be saying that you would only make a bracha on the radish and it would cover the olive. And we're saying that it's not talking about ikr and tafel, because Rabbi Yehuda says in that same thing that you would make a bracha on the olive, and if it was tafel, you wouldn't say that you make a bracha on the olive. So what's going on over here? So the Gemara says, Le'olam bitznon ikr askinan. Okay, really, this brisa that says that you make a bracha on the radish and it covers the olive, it is talking about ikr and tafel. You make a bracha on the radish because it's the ikar, and it covers the olive, which is tafel. Okay, let's keep on going. V'chi plige Rabbi Yehuda v'Rabbanan b'milsa acharisei plige. And this machlokes between Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanan about should you make a bracha, where Rabbi Yehuda says make a bracha on the olive, that's something completely different. V'chasuri mechso v'achi katane. And that brisa that we just quoted is actually missing a few words, and this is really how you have to read it, and and this is how it should go with a few additional words. V'achi katane. Hayu lefanav tznon v'zayis mevarich al tznon ufoter sazayis. If he had in front of him a radish and an olive, so he makes a bracha on the radish, and it's going to cover the olive. Okay. But when do we say that the radish covers the olive? Kishat tznon ikar, when the radish is the ikar. Aval einat tznon ikar. But what if he wants both of them? He wants to eat radishes and he wants to eat olives. So divrei hakol mevarich al zeh, the chosar mevarich al zeh. So everyone agrees that you're going to be making two brachas. There's no such thing then as the hadama on the radish covering the olive. No. You're going to make hadama on the radish. You're going to make hadama ha'etz on the olives. Vishnei minin be'alma shebechosein shavos. And what about when you have an olive and an apple that are the same bracha? So mevarich al ezem and sheyirtzeh. The Chacham say, Tanakama says you could make a bracha on whichever one you like better, whichever one you want. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, mevarich al zayis she'azayis mimin shiva. Whereas Rabbi Yehuda says, no, you should be making a bracha on the olive, not on the apple, because the olive is one of the shiva saminim. Okay, sweet, very cool, very, very cool. Fine. Pligi ba Rabbi Amir Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha. Chad Amar machlokas b'shebei chosein shavos. So we have machlokas in Rabbi Amir and Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha. One of them says that the machlokas between Rabbi Yehuda and the Chachamim is davka when they have the same bracha. Okay, olive and apple, and Rabbi Yehuda savar min shiva adif, Rabbanan savar min chaviv adif. Rabbi Yehuda says make a bracha on the olive because min shiva is better. Chachamim say you can make a bracha on whatever you want. Whatever you want exactly, because whichever one you like better is more important. But when you have a radish and an olive, everyone agrees that you're going to have to make two brachas. Right? One hadamah for the radish and a eitz on the olive. Right, and it doesn't matter which one you do first. Right? If you want to do the radish first, do the radish first. If you want to do the olive first, do the olive first. Doesn't matter. And the other side of this machlokas is that even when they have different brachas, like an olive and a radish, they still have the machlokas. The Rabbi Yehuda is going to say, make a bracha on the olive first. So I understand when you say that, I understand according to Manam who says that the machlokas between Rabbi Yehuda and the Chachamim is when they have the same bracha. Right? No, where am I? Machlokas. So Shapir, it makes sense because basically you have an olive and you have an apple and you only have one shot to make a bracha. So so the question is, which one are you going to make the bracha on? Rabbi Yehuda says you make the bracha on the olive. Chacham say you make a bracha on whichever one you want. But but if you say that they're even arguing when their brachas are different, like, what are you arguing about? You're going to be making both brachas anyways. You're going to be making a bracha on the olive and you're going to be making a bracha on the radish. So Rabbi Yirmiyah says the machlokas there is which one comes first. The Rabbi Yehuda says first you make a bracha on the shiva saminim, and the Chacham say you can make a bracha on whichever one you want. It doesn't matter. Dam Rav Yosef v'tem Rabbi Yitzchak, because Rav Yosef says, some say it's tak Rav Yitzchak, kol hamuktam b'pasuk zeh muktam levracha, that whichever of the 7 fruits comes first in the pasuk in which they are listed, it gets precedence in terms of the bracha. Shenemar, the pasuk says, Eretz chita u'seora v'gefen u'te'ena v'rimon Eretz zeh shemen u'dvash. Right? We list the 7 species in that pasuk, and whichever one is listed earlier, it gets precedence for bracha. So, for example, if you have epis, a cookie made out of so let's say you have a cookie made out of wheat flour, and you also have a grape. Okay? So which one comes first? The answer is the cookie is going to come first, because that's not even, mazonos is going to come first. So let's even change it. So let's say you have a grape and a fig. Okay? So they're both boy praetz. Which one do you make the bracha on? So the answer is you make a bracha on the grape because it comes first in the bracha. Okay, very good. Fine. So Rabbi Yehuda is going to say that if even within the Shiva Saminim, so whichever one comes first in the pasuk gets the bracha first. So then certainly when you have Shiva Saminim and something that's not Shiva Saminim, you're going to make a bracha on the Shiva Saminim first. Whether Rabbanan say, it really doesn't matter. You can make a bracha on whichever one you prefer. Ufliga de Rabbi Chanan. Now, this read of the pasuk to say that all of these, that this list of the fruits is to teach us that whichever one comes first gets the bracha first, that argues on Reb Chanan that says that no, actually this pasuk is teaching us something different, which is Dam Reb Chanan, Kol HaPasuk Kula L'Shi'urin Ne'amar, that the entire pasuk is to teach us 7 different measures, that like the Torah talks about. And let's see what this means. Chita. So what is the measurement that we use chita for? Titnan, as we learned in the Mishnah, nichnas levaisa menuga, right? Somebody who goes into a house that has tsara'as on it. Now, tsara'as is an av hatuma, okay? And if you go into and tsara'as, a mitzora, is mitame ba'oel, which means that if you are in the same house as a person who has tsara'as, so you will become tamei. You will become a rishon netuma, which means that you will become tamei until the evening. Now, the same thing applies for a house that has tsaras on the physical house. If you go into that house, you will contract tuma, and you will be tamei until the evening. So, anichnas levayis hamenuga, somebody who goes into a house that has tsaras, v'chelev al kseifa. Now, he's not wearing his clothing. His clothing is thrown over his shoulder. V'sandalav v'tabosav biyadav, and he's carrying his shoes, he's carrying his rings. Hu ve'in tmein miyad. He's immediately tamei until the evening, and they are immediately tamei. Until the evening, and I guess you have to put them in the mikveh as well. Hayalavush kelev, although I could be wrong about that, but they're definitely tamei. Hayalavush kelev v'sandalav b'raglav tabosav b'etzba'osav. But if he was wearing his clothing and he was wearing his shoes and his rings were on his fingers, so then hu tamei miyad, he immediately becomes tamei. However, vehein tihorin ad sheyashe b'chdei achilas pras. However, his clothing and his shoes and his rings, they don't immediately become tamei. They only become tamei once he's remained in the house for the amount of time that it takes to eat half of a bread whose volume is 8 eggs worth. So basically, the amount of time that it takes to eat 4 eggs worth of a loaf of bread. Okay, I guess it's probably maybe like 10 minutes or something, I don't know. And that's paschit v'lo pasorin. And this loaf of bread that we're talking about is a loaf of wheat based of wheat bread, not barley bread. Mesa v'ochlan beliftan, and he's leaning and eating them with some kind of a hummus maybe or something like that. So zeo, that is the measurement that we use for wheat, right? That if you stay in a house that has tsaras for an amount of time that it would take to eat this wheat bread, so then your clothing would become tamei. Seora, what is the measurement that we learn out from barley? Titnan etzem kiseora matami b'magov masa v'enu matami b'oil. That a bone from a dead body that is the size of a barley kernel, so it is matame a person if they touch it or if they carry it, but it won't be matame in ohel, as we were just talking about tumas ohel, right? A bone the size of a barley kernel will not be matame in oil. In order to be matame in oil, you have to have basar that's the size. You have to have flesh from the body, from the corpse, that is the size of a kazayis. Now, if you remember on Daf, I believe it was Hayom Beis, so Rabbi Yochanan would walk around with a tiny little bone from his 10th child that died that was less than the size of a barley kernel, because that way it wasn't mitame. Okay. Gefen, what do we learn out from grapes? Kedei revius yain linazir, that if a nazir eats like enough like grape seeds and grape peels, that is the size of the same volume as a revius of wine. A revius is like, I don't know, a few ounces of wine. So that specifically, so then he's got to start over again, right? Nazir is basically somebody who makes a vow that he's not going to drink, that he takes a vow of nazirus, that he's going to be a nazir, and then he can't cut his hair, he can't become tamei tameis, and he can't drink any wine, okay, for however long he decided he's going to be a nazir for. So if he consumes like grape products that is the volume of a revius of wine, then he's got to start over again, and specifically a revius of wine and not a revius of water, because wine is more concentrated. Okay. Te'ena, what is the measurement that we learn out from a fig? Kigrogeres lotzas Shabbos, that on Shabbos, if you take something from one domain, let's say from inside of your house, and you go outside to the public area carrying something the size of a dried fig, so then that would be in violation of the thing that on Shabbos we don't take something from one domain to another domain. Rimon, what do we learn out from this measurement of a pomegranate? Kedetznan, as we learn in the Mishnah, kol klei ba'alei batim shi'uran kirimonim, that all of the vessels of a homeowner, their size is that of a pomegranate. What does that mean? It means that if you have a, let's say a pot or something, and that pot becomes tameh, and you want to make it unusable so that it's no longer tameh, because as we've learned somewhere before, that by the Tanur Shel Achnai with Rabbi Eliezer on Daf, I don't know, what was it, like Yud Tes Amud Aleph or something, that when you have a kli that is tameh, you have to break it, so make it unusable. So if you put a hole in it, the size that a pomegranate can fit through it, is basically unusable at that point. Eretz Zeis Shemen. Okay, now what is the measurement of an olive? So obvious, right? So we say, Amar Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina Eretz Shekol Shira Kazeisim. Right? The land that basically all of the measurements are kazayas, right? We hear kazayas all the time. Kazayas of this, kazayas of that, right? All the shirim are kazayas. So Gemara says, what do you mean all the shirim? Kol shira sakadaitech va'ika hanach da'amron. What do you mean? We just listed like 5 other shiurim, right? The shir of the chita, the shir of the sa'or, the shir of the yain, kilu. You know, what do you mean all of the shiurim are kazayas? Ela eretz sherov shira kazaysim. No, it means the land that most of the measurements are olives worth, right? You know, we just talked about if you have enough flesh from a dead body, that's a olive's worth, is going to be time of oil, right? We see kazayas things all over the place. We talked about it. If you eat a kazayas, right, so then you're chayiv to bench, right? Actually, no, you're not chayiv to bench, but maybe to make a bracha acharona or something like that. Wow, okay, yeah, I'm getting myself into trouble over here. But okay, beseder, fine. You always say gabi birchas peres haaretz achila ksiva. Okay, beseder. Anyways, fine. But basically, kazayas is like all over the show. Okay, dvash, and then what do we learn out? What's the measurement from dvash? Kikoseves agasa biyom kippurim. That dvash, of course, is dates, honey from dates, and the shear of a date is that if you eat the size of a large date on Yom Kippur, so then it would be considered having eaten on Yom Kippur, and all the fun stuff associated with that. Okay, fine. Whew, great. So basically, we had initially said that from this pasuk that lists all the Shivas Aminim. So it teaches us that it gives precedence that whatever's earlier in the pasuk, you make a bracha on first. But then we said, and this argues on Rabbi Chanan, who says that, no, this pasuk teaches something else, that this is how we learn out all of these different sizes. So, v'idach, says the Gemara, right? According to Rav Yosef, and some say it was Rabbi Yitzchak, so, hane shiurin behedra miksive? He says, Rabbi Chanan, what do you mean? It doesn't say explicitly any of these measurements in the pasuk, right? Ella, and Janine, this is for you, midrabanan, or actually it changes it to hilchasanenu, the halacha l'moshe misinai's vikra smachta be'alma. So no, Rabbi Yosef and sometimes Rabbi Yitzchak are going to say you don't actually learn out these different measurements from this pasuk, right? These pasuk, all these measurements are halacha l'moshe misinai. We know them from our Sinai that, like, I don't know, a bone the size of a barley kernel is going to be mitame b'mago v'masa kilu, right? And what about this pasuk? This pasuk, we're just like, relying on the pasuk as, let's say, a way to remember it or something like that, or just a way to say, like, this pasuk kind of references to all these shiurim, but we don't learn out the shiurim from the pasuk. We know these shiurim because they're halacha l'moshe misinai, right? This pasuk is just a way to refer, a reference point for them. Okay. Rav Chizda Rav Amnuna havuyasve b'sudaso. So Rav Chizda and Rav Amnuna were sitting at Epes Suda. Aisu l'kamayu tamei v'rimone, and they brought in front of them dates and pomegranates. Okay. Shakar Rav Amnuna baruch hatamei b'reisha, and Rav Amnuna grabbed the date and he made a bracha on the date. Now let's think about to the pasuk for a second, right? So we're talking about dates and pomegranates. So we say eretz chita v'saora v'gefen v'teina v'rimon. So rimon, pomegranate, is number 5 in the pasuk. And we say eretz zeis shemen udvash. Dvash is dates, so dates is 7. So based on what we just said, So whatever is earlier in the pasuk is earlier for the bracha. So if pomegranates are 5 and dates are 7, really you should be making a bracha on the pomegranate, right? Rav Amnuna made a bracha on the date. So Amar Rav Chisda. So Rav Chisda said to Rav Amnuna, why are you making a bracha on the date? Lo svir leimar la'adam Rav Yosef v'tem Rav Yitzchak kol hamuktam b'pasuk zeh kodem levracha. Don't you hold of what Rav Yosef said, and some say it was Rav Yitzchak, that whatever fruit is listed first in the pasuk, you're going to make a bracha on? So Amar le, Rav Nuna said to him, Zeh sheni la'aretz v'zeh chamishi la'aretz. So Rav Nuna answered, he said, yeah, of course I know that teaching, but there's actually a little bit more to it. It's not only what comes first in the pasuk, but it's also what's closer to the word eretz, right? So it says, eretz chita usora v'gefen v'teina v'rimon. And then it says eretz again. It says eretz zeh shemen udvash. So the interesting thing is that whatever is closer to the word eretz gets the bracha. So from the second eretz, right, eretz zeh shemen udvash, so dvash, which is dates, is only 2 away from the second eretz, whereas pomegranates are 5 away from the first eretz. So therefore 2 is closer than 5. So actually you should be making a bracha on the dates, which is super interesting. So if, for example, you have, let's say, grapes and pomegranates, whereas, grapes is 3 and pomegranates is 5, so you'd make a bracha on the, grapes first and then the pomegranates. But if it's between pomegranates and dates is 7 listed in the pasuk, but it's actually 2 away from eretz, so you'd actually make a bracha on the dates first, even though they're number 7 in the pasuk, but they're 2 after eretz versus pomegranate, which is 5. Super interesting. So Amarle man yoav la nagari defarzla v'nashma'inach. To which Rav Chisda said, "Wow, Rav Amnuna, you are brilliant." And the way I understand this means, if only we would have legs of steel, so we can always, be walking over to where you are to listen to you. Okay, very nice. Itmar, it was stated, Eviu lefneim te'enim va'anovim b'socha suda. All right. So it's Shabbos. You start with hamotzi, and so you're eating bread, and you finish with the bread, right? You eat the bread, you have your salatim, you have your hummus. Okay, you're done. And now they bring out figs and grapes as to cleanse the palate. Before epis, the chicken soup, you can have a little bit of figs and grapes. So Amar Avuna, tunim bracha lefneim and tunim bracha lachreim. So you have to make a bracha before you eat these fruits, because you're not eating them with the bread, right? Meaning, bread will cover whatever you're going to have on it. You put butter on your bread. You put, pesto on your bread. Sure, no problem. The bread will cover it. But if you just have bread and then you have grapes, so just like if you have snow and vizayis, you have a radish and you have an olive, so you got to make a bracha on the radish. You got to make a bracha on the olive. Well, also if you have bread and you have grapes, well, you make a bracha on the bread. You make a bracha on the grapes. Some of Huna, tunim bracha lefneim, vein tunim bracha lachreim, but you don't have to make a bracha afterwards. Rashi says because Berachos Hamazon covers them. Okay, Seder. Fine. V'chein Amar Rav Nachman, it says Rav Nachman, tunim bracha lefneim, vein tunim bracha lachreim. You have to make a bracha before these figs and grapes, but you don't have to make a bracha afterwards. Rav Sheshes Amar tunim bracha bein lefneim, bein lachreim. But Rav Sheshes says that you have to make a bracha beforehand and afterwards, right? Shein l'chadav shetom bracha lefanav ein tom bracha lachreim, right? Because everything that requires a bracha beforehand requires a bracha afterwards, right? If I have cookies and I drink a glass of milk with it, so I'm going to make a b'rei minei mizonos on the cookies, and afterwards I'm going to make an ala mechya. I'm going to say shakon evdvaro on the milk, and afterwards I'm going to say a b'rei nefashos. So therefore, also, if I'm having bread and then I'm having grapes, so I'm going to make hamotzi lechem min haaretz on the bread. Afterwards, I'm going to say Berachos Hamazon on the bread. And then, these grapes that, I ate during my meal, I'm going to say a b'rei priya eitz on them. And then afterwards, I'm going to say an ala eitz v'al priya eitz. Right? Because every time you make a bracha rishona, you have to make the appropriate bracha achrona. You can't just say b'rei priya eitz on the grapes and then have like Birkat Hamazon magically cover the grapes. Like Birkat Hamazon isn't the correct bracha achrona for grapes. Ala eitz is the correct bracha. And he says, Ela pasaba b'kisnin bilvad. The only exception being pasaba b'kisnin. That pasaba b'kisnin, you make one bracha rishona on it, and then the bracha achrona is actually different. Okay? And Rashi explains, what are these pasaba b'kisnin? So kisnin are like nuts and stuff. Pitzuchim, right? Epis, right? Cashews, peanuts. And they said that, after the meal, as like a dessert, they would generally bring out like, all sorts of nuts, meaning after they benched already. They're already benched, they're done, then they would bring out, nuts, peanuts, cashews, not sunflower seeds. I'm not into sunflower seeds. But, and then with those nuts and stuff, they would bring out this like thing, it was like some kind of a cookie dough but also contained like nuts and honey and all sorts of spices and things like that. And you wouldn't eat too much of it, right? And the thing is, you would make a bracha, you would make a breminim zonos on it, probably because like kol sheyesh bo mechameshes haminim, right? You're going to say breminim zonos. So I guess because there is a dough in there, so you're going to make breminim zonos. But at the same time, you're eating very little of it, and mixed into the dough was also like all sorts of nuts and other kinds of things. So I assume it's probably because, maybe you didn't eat, it was unclear if you necessarily ate even a kazayas of it or whatever it is. But I don't know, or maybe, so maybe you're not necessarily having a kazayas of the like cookie part, but of the dough part, but you are having a kazayas of like these nuts and other stuff that you have and that are with it. So therefore he says you're making a bracha, a brei minei mizonos on pasaba b'kisnin, but afterwards you're saying brei nefashos, right? Which is right, and that's what it means, that it requires a bracha beforehand, but it doesn't require a bracha afterwards, right? Because brei nefashos is velo klum. It's nothing, right? So therefore, so pasaba b'kisnin is the only example of something that you make, a bracha beforehand, but the bracha afterwards that you make is not what you would think it would be, right? Normally for brei minei mizonos, you would say ala micha afterwards, but here you say brei minei mizonos, and afterwards you're saying brei nefashos. So that's the only exception. But he says if you're going to be eating bread, and then you're going to have grapes in the middle of the meal, so you're going to say brei pri eitz on the grapes, and you're going to say the appropriate bracha achrona, which is ala eitz va pri eitz. Okay. Ufliga de Rabbi Chia. And this that we just said, that, if you have bread and then you are having like figs and grapes as a palate cleanser, that you're going to make a bracha on these grapes, that argues with Rabbi Chia. The Amar Rabbi Chia, pas poter is kol minei maichol v'yain poter kol minei mashkin. Rabbi Chia says that no, bread covers all sorts of food, right? And therefore, if you ate bread and then they bring out these figs and these grapes, even though you're not eating it with the bread, you're just eating it, before the soup or whatever, it doesn't matter. Bread is going to cover all brachas until you bench at the end of the meal. And wine also is going to cover all drinks, right? So if you make a brei pri hagafen on wine and then you have orange juice, you don't make a bracha on the orange juice. Okay, fine. Amar Rav Papa says, Rav Papa Hilchasa. Here's the halacha. Dvarim abayim mechamas asuda b'soch asuda ein tunim bracha lo lefneim v'lo lachreim. So Rav Papa says things that come with the bread in the middle of the suda, so you don't have to make a bracha before or afterwards. So the way I envision this is kind of like an Israeli breakfast. You go to Nocturno in Nachlot on Betzalel Street, you order the Israeli breakfast. They give you like a loaf of bread basically, and they give you sun-dried tomato, 10 different dips, sun-dried tomato dip, trina, pesto, whatever, a whole bunch of stuff. And you basically eat it with bread. So in that case, you don't have to make a bracha on any of these other things. You just make a bracha on the bread. And so it covers all these other things as well, because you're eating them together with the bread. Okay, but let's say now, I don't know, so you're done with your Israeli breakfast, and then you order, I don't know, a croissant or something. So, or let's not say croissant, let's say then you order, I don't know, a salad, okay? Or no, so what does he say? He says, yeah, salad or something like that, right? So then you're going to have to make a bracha on the salad. You're going to have to make a bracha on the salad, right? Right? Something that you're going to be eating not with the bread, b'soch hasuda, but before benching, it's still in the middle of the Suda, tunim bracha lefneim, bein tunim bracha lachreim. So you have to make a bracha beforehand, but you don't have to make a bracha afterwards. And Rashi says because, Birkat HaMazon covers them because these things are mazon. I don't know why they're mazon. I thought we had said in Daf Lamed Hey Amud Beis that the only things that are mazon are the, 5 types of grains. But I don't know. I don't really get that. But in any event, okay. So then if you have a salad, so you're going to have to make a bracha on the salad because you're not eating it with the bread. But you don't have to bench because Birkat HaMazon is going to cover it afterwards. Okay, fine. Le'achar Suda, but things that normally come, as Rashi says, after the Suda, so such as like fruits and stuff like that, tunam bracha bein lefneim bein lachreim. You'd have to make a bracha beforehand because you're not eating them with the bread, and you'd have to make a bracha afterwards. You'd have to make a ala eitz, on like dates or something like that. Okay, super interesting. I mean, it's also a little bit confusing. Like, it's also very confusing. Like, when does benching cover stuff? I don't get it. Like, Rashi in Dibra Maschil, right? Machmas asuda b'soch asuda. So Kigon says Kigon daisa v'chein kruv v'trad and she'enon lifton uvan lemazon v'lasova. Right? So things that you wouldn't be eating with the bread, right? So you have to, make a bracha rishona, but they're covered by benching. Is things like, farina or cabbage or beets that you're not eating them with the bread, but they're mazon vasova, right? But then things that are normally after the Suda, so Rashi says, right, things like fruits, right? So then you have to make a bracha beforehand because they're not being eaten with the bread. And we also have to make a bracha afterwards because Birkat HaMazon isn't going to cover them because they're not mezonei nenu, they're not mazon, so Birkat HaMazon isn't going to cover them. But like, why? I don't get it. Why are beets considered mazon, but dates aren't? Like, I thought that we had said that the only things that are mazon are the 5 grains. And I don't know. And in terms of being zaine, right, we had said that basically everything other than water and salt is zaine. So like basically everything is zaine. So if you're going to say that they're mazon because they're zaine, well, everything other than water and salt are zaine. And if we're going to say that the 5 grains are considered mazon, well then why does Birkat HaMazon cover like beets and stuff? I don't know. It's just freaking not clear. It's just not clear. I don't get it. Shalos ben Zoma, they asked Ben Zoma, Mipnei ma amru dvarim abay machmas asuda b'soch asuda einam tunim bracha lo lefneim v'lo lachreim. So they asked him, how come they say that things that come with the bread in the middle of the meal, you don't have to make a bracha beforehand or afterwards? He said to them, because the bread covers them. Well then, why do you have to make a bracha on wine, right? Well, how come, right? If you ate bread and then you drink wine, you have to make a bar piragafen on the wine. How come? Meaning, if we're saying that anything you're eating with the bread, so the bread covers it. So I guess it's considered that like while you're drinking in the middle of the meal, it's like I guess you're eating the bread and then you're drinking because you got thirsty from the bread, whatever. So then it's ki'ilu machmas apas. So why should you have to make a bracha on wine? So the Gemara answers, Shiny yain de goyim bracha latzmo. Wine is unique in that, Rashi explains, there are all sorts of situations where you would make wine even though you're not necessarily thirsty, right? I don't know, maybe somebody comes over, you're going to drink wine, or like, Berachos mitzvah, under the chuppah, you're drinking wine. You're not thirsty under the chuppah, you're drinking wine because it comes whether for mitzvahs or, all sorts of contexts. Wine comes when you're not necessarily thirsty for it. So it gets its own, right, the going bracha la'atzmo, that it causes its own bracha on its own. So therefore, even in the middle of the meal, you're going to make a bracha on wine. Okay, so we had some interesting stuff today. Things about, Iker and Tafel. We had the interesting stuff about precedence of brachas and Shivas Aminim. And then we got into sort of like what gets covered by bread and what doesn't. And that gets a little bit unclear. Definitely things that you eat with the bread, you're not going to have to make a bracha on. But once already you're not eating it with the bread, it becomes a little bit, look, at the end of the day, what do we do practically speaking? I was just learning the Gemara with Rashi, okay? What's the halacha? The halacha is a different thing. Probably whatever you're doing up until now, you should probably keep on doing. But it's just in terms of understanding the Gemara with Rashi, it's not super, it sounds like, if only things that your mom is eating with bread are going to be covered by the bread. Anything else, you would have to make a bracha on. And I don't really understand how he defines mazon and zayne in terms of what should be covered by benching and what's not. It's not super clear to me. We keep on, I don't know, we're like defining mazon and zayne like in different ways throughout the parak, it feels like, and I don't have a clear picture on that. But if anybody has any insight, let us know. And until tomorrow, peace out.